What's up guys, today we're going to be going over the new Warlock Stasis aspect, and in this video we will be showing off how to unlock this aspect, showing off exactly what it does, and making two really cool builds with it that are pretty insane. So let's go and start with unlocking the aspect. If you played Beyond Light, you probably know exactly how to do this. You go to the Extra Stranger on Europa, and she will have a quest line for this aspect. The good thing is once you do it in one character, you pretty much have it on all three. Then she'll also have two fragment quest lines. There's 4 new fragments. I'll be making a video on all 4 at some point, and you can unlock 2 this week. And as long as you track the quest lines, you should be good to go. The aspect quest isn't that long. You will need the Salvation's Grip equipped to start one of the encounters in one of the areas, and that is pretty much it. It's pretty easy. Now that we got the aspect unlocked, let's go ahead and look at it. Bleak Watcher. Press and hold the grenade button to convert your grenade into a stasis turret that fires slowing projectiles at nearby enemies. So it kind of sounds like the stasis version of Arc Souls, maybe, with the getaway artist. So pretty much what you do is you just hold your grenade, then you throw it on the ground, and it'll create this stasis turret that will shoot slowing projectiles at everything nearby. And just like most stasis abilities that slow, if you hit a target that is already slowed with a slowed ability, it will then freeze them. So it doesn't only slow, it will then also freeze, which is really good for ad clear. And overall, this pretty much just transforms your grenade into a grenade that just lasts for 25 seconds. It will do the slow and frozen effect to multiple enemies, not just the first thing that you hit with a grenade. So it pretty much instantly makes your grenade way better. And the turret lasts for roughly 25 seconds. And I almost had my entire nade back by the time it disappeared. You can pair this very nicely with Ice Flare Bolts, which is whenever you kill a frozen target, it will then send seekers to nearby enemies to freeze them. So once it freezes one target and you shoot them and kill them, it'll then freeze nearby targets. So obviously this combo works really well. Once you freeze one thing, you pretty much freeze the entire room, and this will pretty much work for the entire 25 seconds of the turret's uptime. And when you first look at this aspect, you would think it's pretty much just for ad clear, but if you use Whisper of Hedrons, which is going to be that buff after you freeze a target, pretty much what you can do is throw it at a boss, and it'll constantly freeze them, which will constantly give you that increase to your damage. Now that buff will not stack with other buffs in the game, so if you're in a well or weapons of light, this will not stack on top of that. But if you're playing solo, it's going to be pretty much having an Empowering Rift at all times. Then another sandbox change they made for the season is whenever enemy is frozen and you shoot them with a special or heavy weapon, you will also get increased damage. As you see with the new GL, if I go ahead and freeze Carl, when I shoot at him now, the numbers will be yellow and much higher. So with this aspect, you can pretty much give yourself, as you'll see, up to 31% more damage for your special and heavy weapons. And every single time they freeze and you shatter them out, you will also be doing 3,315 extra damage just to break them out. So dropping one, if not multiple of these for a boss fight is going to be really good at getting you all those buffs up at all times. And also every single time they freeze and you shatter them, it'll be a little bit of an increased damage. So this Bleak Watcher aspect is extremely good. It transforms your grenade into pretty much a grenade that lasts for 25 seconds. Then if you pair that with Ice Flare Bullets and something like Whisper of Fissures, that's going to be really good for ad clear. And if you pair it with Hedrons, that's going to be really good for single target damage, especially if you're a solo player. So overall, this aspect is pretty top tier, and definitely the one I'll be rocking whenever I play Stasis, especially because of these two builds I'm about to show off. The first build will be with Verity's Brow, and one thing that is interesting about Verity's Brow, if we read the perk, Energy Weapon kills grant death throws, which provides a bonus to the damage of a grenade and grants you grenade energy. So the thing that is interesting is it says it increases the damage of your grenade. There's going to be 5 stacks of death throws, and every stack will be 10%, so all the way up to 50% with times 5. And as you see in this all sector, the turret normally hits for 119. Then we go ahead and get times 5 with the Verity's Brow perk. It will now hit for 178. So it does seem to scale the damage of the turret itself. It's kind of cool, but at the same time, the turret doesn't really do that much damage itself, so it's not going to be like game breaking. So for the first build, we'll be using Verity's Brow. Then looking at my Stasis setup, I have all the normal stuff. I have Bleak Watcher, then also Ice Flare Bolts. I'm using one of the new fragments right here, which will give you grenade energy every single time you take damage. I'm not going to be testing that in this video. I will be testing it in a future video. Then I have Hedrons and also Fissures. And look at my weapons of choice. I have the new GL with Chain Reaction, which will be really good. Pretty much our main weapon we'll be using in this build. And we also have Demo on it. Then I have the new SMG with Frenzy, which I'll be making a video on both the SMG and Frenzy soon. And then finally, you can use whatever exotic heavy of choice. Right now I'm using Lament. I've been using Two-Tailed Fox also. I'm not quite sure what is the best yet, but I've just been kind of messing around with a little bit of everything. Then for our mods, we have the typical mod build I've used a lot in the past, Blast Radius, which will allow us to become Chargeable Light with the new GL. Then with those stacks of Chargeable Light, we'll be using Firepower, 4 of them, and that will give us grenade energy back whenever we use our grenade while charged with light. So pretty much how this build works is going to be very similar to a lot of builds I've made in the past. you place down your Stasis turret, it slows and freezes Zane's non-stop, and whenever you place down the turret, you get 60% of it back instantly because of the 4 stacks of firepower. Then all you have to do is get a double kill with a GL to become Chargeable Light again. When you do that, you'll get Demolitionist to proc twice on both of those kills, which should give you the rest of a grenade energy, which means you can throw the turret again and rinse and repeat. Pretty much every single 2 kills, maybe 3 kills, you have a new turret to place down. And before you know it, you have an entire army of these things just blasting everything, freezing everything constantly, and you pretty much alone can control the entire room with this build. It's actually crazy. The only thing I would add would be Special Finisher to make sure I have special ammo, because we're pretty much relying on the GL for all of our kills, so just finishings here and there. Then the second build is going to be pretty similar, but with a Void, Wellspring, or Demo weapon. For example, the new Brass Attacks, which is kind of like Breachlight, or you could even use something like the Deafening Whisper from the previous season. And now we're going to be using the Heritage for our Connect slot instead. And this time we're going to be using the 2 Rift fragments and also aspects. So the fragment that will give you your Rift back when you kill a slowed or frozen target, then also the aspect that allows you to freeze targets with your Rift. And this time we'll be using the Zerxin because we're using a Void, Demo, or Wellspring weapon. And this time we have Swift Charge because we're using a sidearm. If you're using Deafening Whisper, keep Blast Radius on. We still have the 4 fire powers, and this will work pretty much the exact same as the previous one, but now instead we're using our Void primary to get Chargeable Light instead of the GL. And the good thing about this one is we get all of our abilities and our super back very quickly because of Nezark Sin, unlike Verdi's Brow where it's only for your grenade. And what do you do if you don't have firepower? Well, instead of using firepower, you can pretty much just rely on some of the very basic perks. For example, Bomber. You use 2 bombers. Every single time you put down your Rift, you'll get a good chunk of your grenade back instantly. Then we use the Frost Pulse. Then we also use the Refraction Fragment. Pretty much what you can do is go back and forth between your Stasis turret, then also your Rift, and one will kind of feed energy into the other. Then on top of that, you still have your Wood Weapon proccing Nezark Sin, so you'll be getting both your grenade and Rift back pretty quickly, back and forth, along with your super, then also your melee. Then to finish out that build, you can pretty much use whatever mods you want, whatever works with your playstyle or whatever you're trying to achieve. But anyways, all these builds are absolutely insane. I've been using them a lot in Battlegrounds and pretty much single-handedly controlling the entire arena by myself. At some points when I was playing yesterday on stream, I would have like 10, 12, 15 of these Stasis turrets down, and they would be instantly freezing pretty much everything in the room non-stop. Even bosses, when we got to the boss fights, there would be times where I'd have them surrounded with like 10 of them, and he would literally be frozen pretty much the entire time. The second he would shatter, he would be refrozen, and it was pretty crazy. Anyways, I think I'm just gonna let the rest of the gameplay do the talking for me. This is definitely one of my new favorite aspects of the entire game, along with my favorite build. As right now, this is kind of looking to be one of the best builds in the game, especially for activities that have a lot of ads that you have to control, for example Battlegrounds, which is kind of like the new thing this season. Anyways, let me know what you think about this new aspect. Thanks for watching, catch you guys next time.